Okay. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Community Unit School District 300 Board of Education, I would like to thank you for being in attendance both virtually and in person for tonight's board meeting. At this time, I would like to reconvene the meeting of the Community Unit School District 300 Board of Education to order for Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Okay. Burkett,
Present.
Fiorentino,
Present.
Stevens,
Present.
Thomas,
Present.
Zettler,
Present.
Lamarca, present, Scarpino.
Present.
We have 7 board members present.
Thank you. For those who have watched our board meetings both in person and over the internet, you will remember we have rules of decorum. These rules serve a purpose so we as a board can have a meaningful and productive board meeting. In order for this to occur, decorum must be maintained. The rules of decorum are as follows. Number 1, there is no need for anyone to call out comments during our meeting or to not maintain civility and decorum, or to be disruptive, or to raise their voices, nor to interrupt another speaker or presenter. Please conduct oneself with respect and civility towards others. We as a board will listen to you and be respectful. I ask you to please do the same. Second, if a person chooses to be disruptive or chooses not to maintain civility and decorum, I will gavel the person and ask them to please stop their disruptive behavior. Additionally, our district safety officer or his agent may warn them that if they choose to continue their disruptive behavior, additional consequences will be forthcoming. Third, if a person chooses to continue to be disruptive or to not maintain civility and decorum and not follow the rules, they will be removed from our meeting. This action is a direct result of the person's choice to be disruptive. Fourth, we as a board will respectfully listen to each speaker. Just because we didn't vote the way some wanted us to does not mean we didn't listen or take into consideration what you had to say. Please remember, we all learn differently. Some of us take notes during presentations and therefore take our eyes off the speaker. It doesn't mean we are not listening. Lastly, in our effort to accommodate the ability for more seating in our board room, we respectfully request that the audience remain in their seats throughout the duration of the meeting, with the exception of using the restroom or speaking at the podium. I want to thank you in advance for your cooperation. The board and I look forward to a meaningful and productive meeting. We have the pledge to the flag.
Yeah,
Superintendent?
so hopefully this is the last night that we'll do a virtual Pledge of Allegiance. We have been having this one on the agenda for a while, but we will have tonight Lakewood Elementary lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance virtually.
Welcome to Lakewood Elementary School, home of the Bulldogs. We have 757 students and 82 staff and teachers. Hi, I'm Principal Brittany Porsche. This year at Lakewood, we have collaborated with our PTO to encourage family connections to our school during the pandemic. Our goal is to have monthly activities that families can participate in to build community. In September, we had our chocolate fundraiser. In November, we had our family outing to the Chicago Wolves game and our Disguise the Turkey contest. Families read Turkeys in Disguise and then disguised their turkeys for Thanksgiving. In December, students participated in our holiday shop and virtual Cookies with Santa from home. Most recently, our students are participating in a readathon where they can earn prizes just by reading with their family each night. Our PTO has worked hard to find creative ways to build community and connections with families this year, and we thank them for their efforts. Another way we build community within our school is through the collaborative work our teachers and students do each day. Tonight, we would like to highlight our dual language program students. Our dual language students are a blend of native English speakers and native Spanish speakers. The students chosen to lead the pledge tonight excelled in developing strong language skills in both their native and non-native languages. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our dual language students who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. In kindergarten, Kaylin Hernandez, Kevin Huerta, and Ruth Rodriguez. In first grade, Aaliyah Gutierrez, Leonardo Hernandez, Emiliano Lopez, Gohan Mejia, and Hunter Smith. In second grade, Kenya De La Torre,
Matilda Krasowski.
and Adriana Asuncion Martinez. In third grade, Liliana Barliv, Vanya Flores, Isaac Gasca, and Angel Medina. In fourth grade, Diana Mancera, Ernesto Parada Ruiz, and Kylie Tarrant. And in fifth grade, Kenya Cruz Barahona, Sergio Ivan Garcia, Daira Sanchez, and Jaden Toto.
Item number 5 is the approval of the agenda. There has been an amendment to the, an amendment to the agenda. Item 9.5, approval of out-of-district travel request under consent items has been moved to roll call items and will be item 10.12. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Zettler,
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Burkett,
Aye.
Stevens. Thomas. Scarpino.
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Good news, board members.
Sorry. Dundee Crown High School earns Computer Science Female Diversity Award. District 300 would like to congratulate Dundee High School for being one of 27 schools in Illinois to earn the College Board AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award. Only 1,020 schools across the country received the award. These institutions achieved either 50% or higher female representation in at least one or two advanced placement computer science courses, or they achieved a certain percentage of the female computer science exam takers. In addition to female students at Dundee Crown achieving success in computer science, the school is proud to have Janice Aguinaga as its AP Computer Science teacher. District 300 congratulates Dundee Crown on this achievement.
Auto students at Jacobs High School now working with new equipment. A regional CTE grant has provided new state-of-the-art autos equipment at Jacobs High School. The Career and Technical Education Grant has funded a tire changer, a diagnostic wheel balancer, and on-car brake lathe. The cost for 3 machines was approximately $36,000. Autos teacher Wade Charlo said a main objective of the autos program is to help students earn certification in automotive service excellence, or ASE. He noted another goal of the program is to help students prepare for post-secondary education as well as a career within the auto services industry. Having up-to-date equipment helps prepare the students for the transition, Charlo said. The ACE program standards indicate the necessary tasks students must complete and the equipment and tools they need to use. This equipment helps us meet those standards. District 300 thanks Hunter Engineering for their assistance with the new autos equipment.
Hampshire High School Art Club and Orchestra, along with the Hampshire Middle School Orchestra, recently partnered on a visual project in conjunction with the story-themed orchestra concert. Students created a storybook titled Once Upon a Time that included artwork corresponding to the titles of the songs performed during the orchestra concert. Students also wrote a story to accompany each piece of art. Copies of the Once Upon a Time storybook are available for $20 each and can be purchased through the Hampshire High School Art Department. Contact art teacher Laura LaRue for more information.
Fourth graders at Lake in the Hills Elementary School care for class pet. Students at Lake in the Hills Elementary School receive hands-on experience caring for a class pet. Last month, students in Tony Mack's fourth grade class took care of a tadpole shrimp. Ms. Mack said permission for the class pet did not come easily, noting students had to first convince Principal Michelle Smith they could care for a pet and that it would be safe for everyone. Once approved, 10 tadpole shrimp eggs were placed inside a classroom aquarium, which students monitored daily, recording observations independently, and together as a class. One of the 10 eggs hatched. The students were beyond excited throughout this whole project, Ms. Mack said. They would eagerly rush into the room to check on our class pet daily, say hello, and provide each other with updates if anyone was missing. District 300 would like to congratulate Ms. Mack's fourth grade class for doing a wonderful job caring for their classroom pet.
Meadowdale Elementary School students learn about light wavelengths. Last month, Meadowdale Elementary School teacher Danielle Benuelos introduced her fourth grade dual language students to light wavelengths. Students learned how different types of light have different wavelengths, some of which are invisible to the human eye. As part of the science experiment, students conducted an experiment using ultraviolet light to illuminate a fluorescent substance. Ms. Benuelos said students were extremely excited about the experiment and continued to discuss how ultraviolet reactions can be used for other purposes. Many students also asked where they could purchase some ultraviolet light so they could continue experimenting at home. District 300 would like to thank Ms. Benuelos for providing her students with educating lessons.
All right, I have a really great piece to read about Wright, and I'll do that in a second. First, I just want to say thank you very much again and highlight Lakewood Elementary. I had the pleasure of visiting the school the other day in my role as the executive director of the D300 Food Pantry, and their PTO, and in conjunction with every classroom in the building, raised $1,600 for the food pantry doing Penny Wars. And I guess it was a total blast, according to Vera Long, the PTO president, and Mrs. Porsche shared everything with me. And it's just outstanding. That is huge. So I just want to say thank you very much to Lakewood Elementary. Okay, so now on to the wonderful Wright Elementary. Congratulations to all Wright Elementary school students for their incredible success during GDW's iReady Olympics. The iReady program focuses on reading and math, helping teachers identify student needs and personalize instruction. During the past academic quarter, Wright students completed the most iReady lessons and had the highest passing percentage for reading and math out of all the schools in Kane County. As a result of the success at Wright, the school has been recognized as an iReady super school. District 300 would like to thank Principal Dr. Melanie Gravel and the entire Wildcat staff for their hard work and dedication to achieve such remarkable iReady results.
District 300 was named one of NICH's 2022 Best School Districts in Illinois. NICH, an organization that provides rankings for K-12 school districts, colleges, and neighborhoods, has released new rankings for the best school districts in Illinois. NICH has named District 300 as one of the 2022 best school districts in Illinois. Notably, In 2014, Niche ranked District 300 as the 136th best school district in Illinois. In 2022, Niche ranked District 300 as the 70th best school district in the state, an improvement of 66 spots. According to the Niche website, the rankings are calculated by an analysis of several factors, including test scores, data from the Department of Education, and opinions from parents and students. Congratulations to the District 300 staff, students, and community who have helped our district achieve this success. Item number 7, the superintendent's report. Ms. Harkin.
Yes, so the first item on the agenda is a conversation about the Cambridge Lakes Charter School renewal. So to provide you with some context, on December 10th, 2019, you as a board voted on a charter renewal recommendation. And in that recommendation, it was discussed, and this is actually the recommendation that was presented in the slide deck from that night, that the Cambridge Lakes Charter School contract, inclusive of NKEC, be renewed for a period of 3 years, which would be from 2021 to 2022-23. The charter renewal recommendation went on to say that the renewal may be extended an additional 2 years if the following conditions are met. That school leadership includes a chief academic officer or a similar position, and that it is filled with someone who has knowledge and experience of education policy, instructional practice, curriculum alignment, and coaching. It also was requested to provide an annual report of all staffing, including titles, salaries, and benefits. And lastly, the conversation surrounded about adopting a progressive disciplinary policy that ensures alignment with the, at the time, Senate Bill 100, that was a state board recommendation on how we would apply discipline. It additionally said, if approved, the school would again submit all required documents in the fall of 2022. So again, this is exactly the slide on December 10th, 2019 that the board voted on to talk about the renewal. Probably about a month and a half ago, we received a phone call from the Illinois State Board of Education. In looking at that agreement from a long period of time ago, from 2019, that we would have wrapped it up and finalized it, we were told by the State Board of Education that underneath the charter law for the school code, school districts cannot enter into a conditional renewal with their charter groups, and therefore the current charter agreement is not valid. So tonight, what we'd like to do is discuss, and we have members here from the charter school to talk about the recommendation that was made in December 10th, 2019, and then what we've been asked to do is resolve, as part of the invalid charter agreement, either revising the charter agreement date from 2023 or 2025. Again, it was, looking at the recommendation that was adopted on December 10th, 2019. We're looking for your clarification on what date you feel is appropriate based upon that recommendation. And then the plan would be is at the next board meeting, we would then put this item on the agenda with the date of that next renewal and get the charter agreement certified because it is not currently certified. So again, I think what's in front of you is probably more of this discussion, and I believe we do have, again, Dr. Dorn from the charter that could answer any questions, but certainly want to open it up for discussion on, getting clarification on what date we should bring forward for the board to approve.
With the board's permission, I'd like to start the questions, if you don't mind. Dr. Dorn, you might want to go to the podium, please. All set? Yeah. The charter school used to have a full-time curriculum and instruction person. Does the charter school currently have a full-time curriculum and instruction person?
Yes, so the NKEC hired me to serve as the CEO, and also to provide the leadership needed in the area of curriculum and instruction. Part of that process when I came on, instead of hiring a new CFO, I asked the board if we could hire a COO, a Chief Operating Officer, to take on more of the operating responsibilities so that I could work with building leadership to improve teaching and learning.
Okay, thank you. I'm wondering if you can explain what the difference is between our District 300 schools and the charter schools. Please know, I'm not questioning the dedication of its faculty, support staff, nor its students. I'm just wondering what the difference is.
Sure. Well, I'd like to start, if I have the liberty, to just say what the similarities are. One is from my tenure in District 300 and the time that I've spent in the last 6 or 7 months or so at Cambridge Lakes Charter School, that I am convinced that we have kids in all of our schools that like the environment that they're in and enjoy learning, and we have a lot of dedicated staff members in both venues. A few things as far as the difference. Probably my initial assessment is that we need to actually widen that and find a stronger differentiator for the charter school. That would be my earlier assessment, and had some conversations with Director LaMarca regarding that. District 300 has been very progressive in the last 5 or 6 years in their instructional innovation. And so things that the charter school used to have relative to all-day kindergarten, STEM, art, the extension of many of these activities, over the last several years, District 300 has added these programs. So as part of our strategic plan is to identify to a greater extent some differentiators as we partner with District 300. With that said, there are things within Cambridge Lakes Learning Center that currently are. One is we are very proud of our accelerated learning program, and we use MAP assessment data to review the progress and the levels of learning of our students, and we provide opportunities for students to work up to 2 years above grade level within that program. We take pride, and although we would like to even refine it to a greater extent, that all of our students have personal learning plans. We like to think of them in the sense as each individual and seeing them as an individual. This year, we are currently developing a schedule actually to create a common time during the day next year for teachers to conference with all of their students relative to this while we work on other accelerated learning opportunities. And so with that in mind, we also have an extended school day. Our school, as an example, with the elementary students goes until 8 until 3:30. It's an hour and 15 minutes longer than the elementary schools in District 300. This is convenient for our families from a working condition who need that aspect as far as work is concerned, but also provides us an opportunity to extend the learning for the students. Just for kicks, I did the math on that, and it comes to about an additional 30-some days of school for a child during the course of the year. And while that's not an instructional differentiator, it does provide a forum for the school to grow and utilize that time as it seeks to make an impact on the lives of our students.
Okay. My last question. Over the past several years, the charter school has lost hundreds of its students. Additionally, during the same period of time, faculty and administrative turnover has been high. As you know, this turnover contributes to an experience vacuum of its members. What are you doing to attract and retain faculty and support staff and to increase student enrollment?
Yeah, first relative to the faculty and staff, when I started at Northern Kane on July the 1st, we did have several resignations. Now, on the Illinois School Report Card, the last retention number is about 72 or 74% from the most recent school report card of 2021. However, that number was higher this past year. So some things that we've done is we've recruited. I personally have contacted universities like Judson University. I have worked with the Illinois Network of Charter Schools and have exercised what is known as charter law in relative to an employment of certified staff. And what we mean by that is charter schools have the opportunity regarding their instructional staff to hire up to 25% of the teachers who are not certified teachers under the condition that they have 5 years or more experience in the area that they'll be teaching. They commit to professional development and commit to taking the state competency tests in that area. We don't want to exercise that to a large degree, but it is something that we have been doing to recruit and retain staff. I think we have, give me a little grace here, but 4 or 5 teachers. We have a former engineer who's teaching our STEAM program at the upper school. We've had a physical education teacher. So we have some in some certain areas. So we are looking to do that. We are also switching this year to utilize Frontline as a recruiting source. The school community at Cambridge Lakes has not utilized that, and they've used things like Indeed in some areas through the charter school network. And we feel that while that's effective, we would like to be able to have people who are applying for other positions in Kane County to see those positions and those vacancies available. We are in the process of reviewing our benefits package as well. And to the extent possible, we're looking to provide as much of a lucrative benefit package that our budget will allow us to do. If you also look on the Illinois School Report Card, the charter school spends on average $2,000 or $3,000 less per student than other schools in District 300. And so the resources aren't quite as available, but we are. I think our starting salary is $44,000, and I don't know what District 300's is off the top of my head, but I think it's probably $3,000 to $5,000 more than that. But we're also seeking to create an environment. I don't think that people always do things on the account of money. I think that sometimes it's a part of developing a culture where people feel valued in what they do. And under my leadership and the things that I'm doing to try to work with other leaders in the building is to create an affirming environment where people want to be there. So relative to the staff recruitment pieces, I hope that answers your question. Relative to the latter part about student recruitment, I'm still seeking what is the draw to Cambridge Lakes Charter School. I have the enrollment, and you are right. Over the last couple of years, particularly during the pandemic, the school has decreased in numbers by a couple of hundred students. Prior to that, there were several years where it remained in the 800s before we dropped to our current enrollment of, I think it's 655 or 665. I know I'm being recorded, so hopefully one of those numbers are correct. But we've done some things. I have gone to in Pingree Grove. I've gone to the developer there in the sales office, and I've met with them, and I've invited them to come and visit our school, and they have, and I've given them a tour and talked to them about some of the things that we're doing at Cambridge Lakes Charter School. But I also know that the charter school really should appeal to the entire 118 square miles of the District 300 community. So as part of our plan, we need to find ways to tap into those other areas as well. I mean, we do draw from a fair part of the geographical area, but I think that can be done more effectively. And as part of that process, it is our hope that through our collaboration and partnership with District 300, our routine meetings that we have with board members from the D300 board and from NKEC and administrators, we hope to also find out what is the differentiator that we can do that's even beyond what we're already doing that might draw a certain style of a student. Also, we have we do a lot of community things, and we partner with the community center in Pingree Grove. We have a 5K race coming up, and we're doing whatever we can do to really show and be a standout in the school, in the school community at large. And so, we're also marketing. We're in conversation with preschools in the areas and just looking to do what all schools do, which makes their school the best it can be, and also let word of mouth communicate with neighbors and friends and colleagues and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other board members?
Thank you, Dr. Scarpino. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of my comments regarding the renewal of the charter school. Bill, you don't need to stand there if you don't want to. You can maybe get up at the end if you want to ask me a question, but feel free to take a seat. I am the oldest member of the board in years of tenure, and only a couple of years older than Dr. Scarpino, and was here when the charter school was first authorized. I believe many mistakes have been made during these many years. First off, the original board was mostly appointed by the founders and were nothing more than a rubber stamp for whatever the founder wanted to do. They were used to further personal ambitions. As things became critical at the charter school, the board continued to allow leadership to be active in management of the school and its many complex and confusing corporate entanglements, all of which happened to be controlled by the founders. This worked to maintain control, and they were able to enter into lucrative contracts, even going so far as to remodel office buildings owned by the leadership, then lease it back to the charter, fully reimbursing the founders and making a profit on the transaction, and refusing to let the school out of the lease that they had had them sign, even though the charter no longer needed that space. In my opinion, this is just one example of a major conflict of interest that was taking place at that time, and there were many. Again, in my opinion, the charter board had adequate legal cause to seek remedy. However, they did not. Instead, they allowed this situation to continue to the full term of the contract of leadership, costing the charter school an excessive amount of money. Original leadership was then allowed to pick their own successor. While it is not meant by me as a personal attack on that person, I repeat, it is not a personal attack on this person. A person was installed as their main leader who not only was not an educator, but was not prepared for such a role either through education or work experience. A person, while well-intended, but not prepared to lead that organization, and the board did nothing to prevent that. The chair of the board ultimately resigned, but through some quirk of fate, appointed their own successor, without a vote by the board to elect its own leadership. This is contrary to everything that I understand about how boards should function, and yet it continues today. The charter board did finally recognize that leadership was weak and needed a change, yet during this time allowed the leader to fire the one person who did more than anyone else to market that school and to improve its enrollment, which of course is the lifeblood of that charter school. One can only assume that leadership felt threatened by this person and thus eliminated him, but I guess we'll never know. The board then acted to remove leadership and to seek a new leader. If the candidate was too direct in stating the problems of the school, they were dismissed by that current leader out of hand. Subsequently, they did hire a new leader who just months into their tenure was gone and no explanation was given. Then they had the foresight to temporarily bring in an experienced school superintendent to turn things around. However, not much occurred during that very short tenure. Then, as we all know, they hired Dr. Doran, who now serves in that capacity. I want to be on record as saying I have nothing but the utmost respect for Dr. Doran, consider him a personal friend from years back, and in fact is one of the people responsible for me being on this board. But knowing that he recently retired from District 300, it concerns me how long his tenure will be at the charter school. I believe bringing the charter school to something to be proud of and financially stable will take years of work, increasing enrollments, and a lot of good luck. Another thing I would like to bring up are the teachers at the charter school. My belief is that they have been blessed to have many wonderful and caring teachers who truly were there for the right reasons and for the kids, but were in fact treated like slave labor. Salary-wise, they were held down. They were threatened with huge financial penalties if they decided to leave the charter school, and retention rates have been abysmal. It is hard to build a cohesive staff when you have that level of high turnover. The charter school carries a very large debt load. From my understanding of the financials, and I admit that I could be wrong and I could be educated, it is actually living on cash flow. They are counting on enrollment increasing to change this situation, but that remains an elusive accomplishment. As we see, enrollment has dropped considerably over the last few years to a dangerously low level, now of just over whatever the number was, 650 that Dr. Dorn quoted. If the enrollment does not dramatically improve, they will not be able to sustain their debt load and they will become insolvent. Another question is, what is the attraction of the charter school? From my perspective, and Bill, I think you actually confirmed it tonight, is that the Cambria Lakes Charter School is nothing other than a neighborhood school. By approaching the developer, you're looking for people who live in that area, and I get it. And one of the attractions that I see is that your class sizes are much smaller and very attractive. You do not follow the District 300 calendar, as you spoke, in which some people believe is an advantage. Other than that, I don't know that I can articulate major advantages, and maybe it's because I am uneducated. When the charter was renewed a few short years ago, it was over much consternation and controversy. Renewal was not a given, and in fact, it was very much in question. And I would just point out that I think if you go back and check the minutes of those board meetings, the renewal was supposed to be for 2 years, not 3 years, and I believe that Mr. Hyde made an error in making it for 3 years. It was expected then that they would have to come back for a renewal. This is why that renewal is for a shorter period as was considered normal. Improvement was expected, but unfortunately has not happened. In fact, the opposite has happened, and enrollment has declined. And again, enrollment is the lifeblood of that school. For me to extend the charter agreement, multiple things will need to happen first. I believe that your board needs to be reconstituted to be a fully independent board with set terms and a board-elected leadership, not appointed. They need to stabilize and have a long-term leadership plan for the office of CEO or president or whatever the title is going to be. The president or CEO of the organization should not be a voting member of the board, but an employee. The enrollment of the school needs to increase dramatically and become stable. And financially, the charter cannot survive on cash flow alone. If dramatic improvements is not made by the end of the 2023 season, it will be very difficult for me to justify moving forward. A serious review of the effectiveness of the upper school and its enrollment needs need to be done with a critical eye towards justifying its continuation. Enrollment is very low, and as a non-educator, I do not understand how this can be an effective learning environment. This, however, is the big one. The charter needs to find, and Dr. Dorn has confirmed, a differentiator. It is not up to District 300 to determine what that differentiator is. They do not have one. They need to offer something not offered in the District 300 school system that is attractive and differentiates them from a District 300 school and will attract enrollment. I don't know what that is. And I say it all candor, and again, Dr. Dorn confirmed, District 300 does a pretty good job of being state-of-the-art, and other districts actually emulate us. COVID, of course, has had an impact on all of us, but we do see sunlight at the end of the tunnel. I appreciate the opportunity to publicly share my comments and concerns with members of the public, the Charter Board, and the D300 Board. And this concludes my remarks. Dr. Scarpino, thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Okay. Oh,
Mr. Stevens mentioned my name on a number of
Sure.
occasions in his presentation that sorry, Ms. Lamarca, but before, I don't want it to get lost. And so I think that Mr. Stevens took comments that I made and took liberties for his own interpretation. And one is I didn't indicate that it was a neighborhood, essentially a neighborhood school. I do believe that Cambridge Lakes Charter School draws from the neighborhood, and yes, I did go to the subdivision and invited the salespeople, but we're also in communication with other entities too, and we do not only draw just from the neighborhood. And so I really felt that I wanted to respond to this, and yes, I did indicate that District 300 does a very good job. And as you know, I've been committed to this school community and have been very fortunate to have a lot of opportunities to be a part of this. And this is a remarkable school district. But I don't want to misinterpret my compliment to District 300 in no way to indicate that there's not a quality service to the students at Cambridge Lakes Charter School. And so I just wanted to just indicate those things since, it was mentioned. I too have feel fortunate to be able to respond to that, and I thank you for that. And then just one thing that regarding Superintendent Hyde's, whether he was really saying that it should be a 2-year or a 3-year renewal and was uncertain on that. It is very, very clear in Superintendent Hyde's superintendent report that he had indicated that it would be a 3-year renewal. And I don't want to really bring this up, but made it very clear that based on those conditions, if you go back and listen to the text from December 10th, he said, in essence, he said, we would be looking to do a 5-year agreement if these conditions are met. He said that is what is good for District 300, and that is what is good for the charter school. And so I would encourage the board before the vote to listen to that text, because it was very, very clear. Now, you can change your mind, and that's fine. I just want to make sure that from my understanding, since I was brought into that I wanted to clarify a few points.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
If I could respond to Dr. Dorn. Dr. Dorn, I appreciate what you had to say, and I did take liberties, and I apologize if that was problematic. With regard to Mr. Hyde and the text, I'm not doubting at all what you say. I guess what I didn't want to say directly, but I will say directly now, is that the board approved a 2-year renewal. Mr. Hyde acted independently when he went to a 3-year renewal, and at that time was also looking for a job in Florida where they have a lot of charter schools. So the board approved a 2-year renewal, and we went along with Mr. Hyde because we had great respect for him, the 3-year, thinking it was an error.
Look at this, but Ann Miller stated the Board of Education, pursuant to Section 27A9 of the Charter School Law, approves renewing the charter agreement and extending the charter school until August 31st, 2023, which would be a 3-year. That was her motion that was made, with the option of an extension of 2 years to 2025 if certain conditions are met. There was a motion and a second, and it was voted on 7-0.
I stand by my comment.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dorn, for responding to some of Joe's comments. And I just want to say I really appreciated Joe's comments, but I also want to make sure everybody understands that that is history. And I think one of the greatest things that the charter school has done in the last 6-7 months is bring yourself on, and as CAO, you said, right? Or CEO? Okay. And I think that, I'll go on record too in saying that I have a tremendous amount of respect for you, but I also knew from firsthand experience what you were biting off when you went there. And you and I had some very frank discussion about that. So that said, I just want to be, most of you probably don't know, but I just want to be completely transparent and say that my children attended the charter school from 2007 to 2016. And in that 9 years, I can tell you that they received an amazing education. And it was by their decision that we left. At that time, I had an 8th grader and a 6th grader and went to Hampshire Middle School, where we also had a very great experience. But I just want to say, I mean, I know firsthand that it is, and I haven't been there for a long time, obviously, but at one point, it was an outstanding organization with so many wonderful educators, and actually, many of those educators are employed by D300 now. I don't mean that as a slam, I'm just saying it's true. So anyway, I also want to say that I also sat on the NKEC board from 2012 to 2018. And I'll be very honest and say that it was painful for me to hear what Mr. Stevens said, but I'll also tell you that it's all true. I was very often the outlier on that board, very outspoken, and to this day, I can tell you that the person who founded the school, which I don't want to say any names, the person who founded the school and chartered it from the very beginning, and I, let's just say we're not good friends. And that's okay. So, and that person is no longer involved in the charter school, and I think it's important for all of us to understand that. And again, I think that what we really have to focus on is what's before us tonight or today as we talk about this and come back in April to vote on, is I'm not going to discuss the 2 and 3 year. I actually agree with Dr. Dorn that it was a 3-year renewal. I don't think we've ever done a 2-year. I think it's always been a 3-year. But anyway, that's beside the point. What we need to decide as a board is we have to figure out if we want to stick with the 2023 or go along with Dr. Dorn's assertion that because they met those criteria, we need to automatically extend it to 2025 and put that date before IASB for the certification. So that's what we have to decide as a board, to be very clear, for those of you who haven't maybe been as intimately involved as Mr. Stevens and I and actually Dr. Scarpino. So I think it's important that, I know I said to you, one of the things that I don't understand, and this is somebody who inwardly knew the school exceptionally well, sat on the board, all of that, I don't really understand why you wouldn't want to go through the renewal process, because I just think of it as a time to reinvent yourself, to put something out there in writing that shows all the different things that we've talked about tonight, how you're going to market yourself, how you're going to guarantee long-term sustainability, how you're going to come up. Not that you have to have that differentiator by the time you submit your charter renewal agreement, but that you have ideas around that and how you're going to do that. So I would ask you, Dr. Dorn, if you don't mind, to maybe, and maybe you can shed some light for me and all of us about why that's so important, because clearly it is very important to you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, one is District 300 is our authorizer, and we understand that there are certain standards, and if at the end of the day this board said 2023, then we roll up our sleeves and we make that happen as part of that. Specific to your question about why the 2025, one reason is that since I've started, there's probably been, at least, and this is speculative, but we meet regularly, as you know, routinely. We've met with the curriculum department, the EL department. We've met with the special education department. I had safety come out. And I have created a template which is called a 1-year review, and where I have asked all of the departments from District 300 to provide feedback to the charter school on an annual basis. And by doing that on an annual basis, NKEC, Cambridge Lakes Charter School, can create an action plan based on that feedback, both the strengths and build on those as far as areas of concern. And by having that yearly feedback, the idea is that the charter renewal no longer becomes an event or this thing that happens, but that we work together collaboratively year by year. And when it comes time for the charter renewal, it's really just putting it together because we've worked along the way. And by allowing the 2025, to your question, it allows time for that process to unfold and for us to get that yearly feedback and build those elements into the strategic plan. The second reason why I'm advocating on behalf of the NKEC board is that the renewal process is a time-consuming process. And educators have worked tirelessly to navigate through teaching through a pandemic over the last 2 years. And if you approve a term of August 31st, 2025, the appropriate focus can be dedicated to developing services and programs specifically designed to the students within the school community. And then the last is just the fact that I would ask that you would review the transcript. And this is really secondary. We can debate whether it should go to 20. You know, at the end of the day, we just have to find a way to be paddling in the same direction for the benefit of all the students in District 300. But the third reason is that it's NKEC's understanding that if we meet these three criteria, that the charter then in concept would go to 2025, and that's our understanding. And we met those. And so while these other things that are being brought up are very important, and I hope that we can collectively work on them, these weren't items that were brought up during the charter. So, you know, from a theoretical standpoint, we should be discussing the matters specifically pertaining to what was agreed upon within this charter. When the new charter comes up, all of the other things about continuing to partner on a differentiator, looking at cash flow and student enrollment, all of those things are important. But the third thing is what our understanding of the intent and the heart of the board was when it voted unanimously to approve the charter on December the 10th, 2019. So those are the three reasons. Does it mean that we won't do the 2023? I mean, hey, at the end of the day, when we get done discussing this, we have to find a way to kind of align what we need to do, again, for the students and other constituents in the school community.
Well, what you just said for your reason number two, to me, is the perfect argument for why you need to do the renewal next year. For everything you just said. We'll have to rewind it back and listen because I can't.
No, that's
But
okay.
to me, it was
No, I
it was
understand.
perfectly what I was trying to say before about that's an opportunity for you to put all of these great ideas. And I agree, you've really initiated some wonderful momentum over there. You've stabilized the place, and all of that. I give you kudos for all of that. But I think that to put all of the other things you're talking about in motion through the charter agreement is a great idea because, like I think somebody mentioned, and we don't know how much longer you're going to give them. So that is, to me, a blueprint for the next leader. And I think that's really important for long-term sustainability. And unlike Joe, I'm not really that worried about your enrollment because if you're financially solvent and you're paying your bills and your teachers are getting paid, I don't have an issue with that. If you want to just float, that's okay. I just don't think that's what we really want to see as the charter school that exists within School District 300. So, and I think that's all I have.
Well, I appreciate that, and certainly, you never really want to look at an organization as an individual or a leader, although you hope that they make an impact. What you want to do is you want to create systems for that organization so that no matter what leader comes into play, those systems can be continued to be carried out. And so those are some of the systems that we're continuing to refine and develop. So, but thank you for that feedback.
Any other board members? Steve?
So, Dr. Dorn, I guess, I was one of the board members that had never sat on their board, like Dr. Scarpino and Leslie, Ms. Kopaz, Mr. Stevens. And I was also one of those board members that voted yes, as you highlighted twice now to say that it was a 7-0 vote, but I'm also one of the board members that struggled with pieces of it. And I think the part that I remember struggling with is something that was mentioned by Mr. Stevens, and that the makeup of the board. Because if we go back to the conditions that we now learn, if you would, point one, personally, I believe is in great hands. I believe in your leadership. I know what you can do, and is important. We trust in that. But the makeup of your leadership, i.e. the board, is what this board struggled with on several occasions in open session. And you can go back and look at those tapes. and it's there. And I'm one of those people. And I was not as knowledgeable as the board members that I mentioned. So I saw it, I witnessed it, and I heard about it through fellow board members. And you really didn't touch on that. And I do, I guess I don't, but I do want to put you on the spot. What is your feeling on that? I'd like you to comment about what Mr. Stevens said. He gave you a couple of conditions, although they couldn't be written as conditions. Are you in favor of making adjustments to the current board makeup?
I may have misinterpreted, but I think both of you used the term past tense, regarding the previous board. It is my perception that the current board for Northern Kane is an excellent board with a lot of good different perspectives. And this board that they currently have has developed a strategic plan with 5 very clear goals, which I hope that you've received a copy of, because all of that information was forwarded to you. And so, and in that, we have monthly committee meetings on the area of strategic plan, on the area of finance, on the area of facilities, and I've been talking a lot, so there's one more, someone can help me, on the issue of developing policies that govern the organization. And so there are board members that are on the board that were there when the charter was reviewed in December 2019, but there's also a number of board members, Mr. Ferrantino, that are new to the organization, and I would encourage you there to come to a board meeting, to sit in. We've made invitations of that nature, and you're welcome to that. And I'm also happy if at any time that any board members from here would like to get together with 2 or 3 to make sure that we don't exceed the quorum, to really hear the perspective and the heart that people want to do, and the wisdom and insight that they bring in their leadership, to go on our website and review our board members and their terms. And I think that you'll see that it's a pretty strong nucleus of people, and I'm very fortunate to work with them.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you addressing that. I have just one more comment, and then saw Mr. Stevens' hand. But so you feel good about the current board. So the comments that what I've heard here are historical comments back to prior to 2019 and up to 2019. I appreciate the invitation as well. Where are we at now with representation on that board? Does District 300 have an administrator or a board member that routinely sits with that board as an observer?
Yeah, the administrative liaison, and as Superintendent Harkin knows, is Dr. Schumacher. Okay. And at the request of, I don't know who it started with, I think it started from Leslie Lamarca, but had suggested that we have routine meetings. And so we have been meeting routinely with Superintendent Harkin, Leslie Lamarca, Board Member Stevens, and our chair, Jennifer Maniscalco, our COO, Jennifer Porter's participated. We've had guest people come in. So there's a continuous dialogue, as I tried to articulate a little early, which is the whole idea of working on things in partnership on a year-by-year basis leading up to a charter renewal, so that we move along together. So I think that the communication has been strong. I don't know, Superintendent Harkin, if you want to give your perspective on that as well. I think that, and we talk frequently as well.
Yes, so we did probably in July, maybe August, we had previously met in a larger group, and then we did break over to the 2 board members that Dr. Doran just referred to in the team. And the first focus was the financial piece. If you recall, I believe last spring there was a conversation about looking at the cash flow projections, just understanding the financial stability of the charter. And so we did get through that activity and exercise, and I believe we got through that probably in October-ish is when we got through our final report to confer where they where their finances were living. And then we do meet regularly. We did have a couple of stalled meetings. One, there weren't as many topics, so I think there wasn't anything pressing. We have developed a process with our team to then do what was set out in the last agreement, which is a accountability plan, and clarify that piece. And I believe we've been meeting regularly with the then additional documentation that Dr. Dorn referred to earlier, which was how do we then capture various components of what we believe are key areas that we need to be overseeing that we had issues with previously. But definitely there's ongoing dialogue, there's ongoing oversight. I think we've created a much better process for ensuring that that communication stays open and is reviewed at appropriate levels on a consistent basis.
Mr. Stevens?
I would just like to add, Bill, I'm glad to hear that you're comfortable with the board. It would be helpful to me, maybe to the rest of the board, if you could give us some kind of a written document that explains the classes of board members that I do not understand. I know you have lifers and corporate ones and charter ones. I don't know what you call them, but that would be helpful to me if you could provide that to us. And I also want to say that I do very much appreciate the meetings that we've been having, and I think they have been productive. And I hope that they continue and we can continue that dialogue. I think a positive move on from my perspective would be to see you elect a board chair and not have an appointed board chair. Nothing against Jennifer, she's a fine person and I like her a lot, but I don't think that it necessarily represents the will of the board, or maybe it does, but we don't know because it wasn't an elected position. So I've also said, and I didn't say tonight, and I probably should have, I really want that charter to succeed. I know it doesn't sound that way, but I will tell you that if you fold and we have to take on 650 some kids, it will be very difficult for this district. But some of the things that you're articulating that you want to do in the charter are things that have been articulated before. I agree with Leslie that you have a thankless job. I agree with Steve that you're the right man for the job. But again, I don't know what your tenure is, and I'm not asking you to tell me that. But I'm concerned about stability and leadership, and I'm concerned about how we continue this moving forward, because the charter school, frankly, takes up much more of our time than it should. And the renewals should be just as you said they are, or want to be. But we've asked for those yearly updates, and prior to you, we've not gotten anything like that. So I admire what you're doing. I don't envy what you're doing, and I hope you're enjoying your retirement, Bill. Thank you.
Yes. Any other board members have any comments? Ms. Harkin, I think what I would like to advise you to do is for our next school board meeting, please come up with two motions. One for a 2023 and the other for a 2025, because that will give the board time to ask any further questions of you. And I just think right now that's probably the best thing to do right now.
We can work to have an agenda that reflects both of those options available to the board and how we can put that on the agenda. So absolutely, and I would also then ask that Dr. Dorn provide some of the follow-up information, and we can provide that as part of the documentation for that board agenda item as well, too.
Yeah, Dr. Dorn, you'll be able to do, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Continue with your superintendent report.
Terrific. So the next section is staff recognition. Thank you, Dr. Dorn, and the other NKEC board members that are here. Thank you for being here tonight. So we are catching up with some staff recognition. Last month was National School Counseling Week. We did send a message out to them via email, but I'd like to recognize our D300 school counselors. National School Counseling Week brings attention to the unique contributions school counselors provide to school systems throughout the country and highlights the tremendous impact counselors can have in helping students achieve school success and planning for a career. As part of our school support team, the District 300 school counselors provide critical social, emotional, and academic supports for students throughout the district. Counselors not only help students succeed in school, but they also help students develop time management skills, apply academic achievement strategies, and plan for post-secondary options. As students learn these skills, counselors are helping them form healthy goals, mindsets, and behaviors. In short, school counselors work to create a future world where all students thrive. So I'd like to have everyone join me in thanking our District 300 school counselors. These individuals play a vital role in supporting our students on a daily basis, and I am truly grateful for their commitment to our schools and to our students. The next group is our school resource officers. National School Resource Officer was last month as well, too. So I had a couple of them we got a little backed up on, and I'd like to recognize our SROs, our school resource officers, which are kindly deemed SROs, for their outstanding partnership with our schools. And we definitely have some outstanding school resource officers that work with our schools and our students. Our school resource officers serve as an important bridge between youth, law enforcement, and the communities they serve. SROs are valuable and essential members of the D300 community as they protect our schools, provide valuable resources to school staff, and most importantly, foster positive relationship with our students. So I'd also like to thank our school resource officers for their dedication to the safety of our schools, for protecting with courage and serving with compassion. Their hard work and dedication is definitely appreciated by myself and the entire D300 community. And today is School Social Workers Day. So today is March 15th, is World Social Work Day, which recognizes the hard work of social workers around the globe, including our incredible D300 social workers. D300 social workers are integral to ensuring students and their families receive support throughout the year, and they perform a variety of critical tasks, including assisting with crisis situations, helping classroom teachers with social emotional learning needs, and connecting with our 504 students. Our District 300 social workers go the extra mile in addressing the health and well-being of our students, which is a key component to students achieving academic success in classroom. One of the things I'd like to point out is when we do have a crisis in our school, whether it be a family member or a student, this group is on the grounds dealing with all of that to support staff and students on a continual basis. And certainly that's something that is a tragedy and a really difficult thing in our schools when it happens. And I can tell you they come in and always step up any time of the day, weekend, whenever, to make sure that our buildings and our students and our staff feel supported in those difficult circumstances. And I really believe we are very blessed through the assistance of that team stepping forward, always to make sure that our heart of District 300 is there to support our families, and this group is really represents the heart of who we are. So I'd also like you to join me in lastly thanking our District 300 social workers. Without a doubt, the duties executed by each one of them, our social workers, makes a positive impact on our students, their families, and the community. So I want to give them a round of applause. So definitely an invaluable group of employees that we recognize, and we'll continue to make sure we acknowledge all of our various employee groups, and again, apologize for some of the delay in a couple of them for not recognizing them sooner. Next, I'd like to invite our newest Eastview Elementary principal for 22-23. If we want to let her come up, I'd like to introduce Megan Buchanan. Yeah, we'll put you right in the middle. All right. And we do have several Eastview blue ribbon school members here, as we like to say, and that's awesome. So Megan and her family are longtime residents of Crystal Lake. She graduated from Illinois State University with a degree in elementary education and has since earned her master's degree in curriculum and instruction and education leadership. Megan is currently finishing her doctorate degree in education leadership at National Louis University. Megan previously worked in McHenry District 15 for 16 years, where she taught 7th grade ELA at Parkland Middle School. She also taught 1st grade at Hilltop and Valley View Elementary School. Most recently, she has served as the K-5 assistant principal the last 6 years at Hickory Point and Shaboney School in Northbrook School District 27. Obviously, from the people that are here that clap very loudly, and I can tell you when the notice went out because we did let the Eastview community know last week, I didn't hear any negative comments. And sometimes no news is good news, and I don't mean to downplay you whatsoever, so I apologize if it came that way. But I definitely heard amazing things about, we had definitely very good candidates that moved forward, and you move forward as the top candidate, and we are confident that Megan will bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to Eastview community. She will continue the tradition of it being a high-performing elementary school. We met with the Eastview staff earlier in the spring, Dr. Herb and myself, to make sure that what they felt would bring a good leader, and we were committed to, no matter what, making sure we would support that vision, and we will make sure that that occurs. I promise you that. So we are definitely pleased to have you join us. I have a little something for you here, but could you please join me in welcoming Megan Buchanan to District 300 as the next principal of Eastview Elementary. And if you want to shake the hands of the board and then come my way. And then I've been giving new employees to District 300, may you be proud of the work you do, the person you are, and the difference you will make for our students. And we're really thrilled to have you here. So thank you very much. We look forward to a wonderful tenure. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, oops, I was supposed to, and there she was, sorry. Didn't click ahead. All right. So the next on the agenda is Dr. Herb is here to provide an update on elementary specials. If you just want to keep that over there, because I think I am done after this. My team will be presenting to you.
Okay, good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Harkin, D300 community. I'm excited to be able to update you this evening on some elementary specials programming that will be changing for this next school year. I'm going to take you through a little bit about our process that we utilize to go through this. As you are very aware, District 300 regularly utilizes a process to identify areas that we can continue innovating in our course offerings throughout the district. Recently, we've enhanced course offerings at the high school level in electives and core content areas. And then additionally, we've reviewed and revised middle school exploratory offerings to provide a more wide range of experiences to our students. Similarly, in the elementary area, we have gone through this timeline that you see on the screen to identify in our specials area different opportunities available to us to continue providing great options for our students. So you can see, as of about a year ago, February 21, some of our academic team members met to review standards and identify any overlap among specials and core instruction. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. In April, we met with the elementary staff that would have then been impacted by some of these reviews, just to let them know that this potential change could be coming. In December, we collaborated with principals on replacement options and also reviewed any scheduling implications to make sure that we were ahead of that should anything come up through those reviews. In January, we collaborated with the Elementary Collaborative Council to solicit feedback on those specials options that were generated and any potential topics for those options so that we could weigh that out as we made a final decision.
I have a question.
Please.
For December 2021,
Yes.
when you collaborated with the principals, so
Yes.
that was like at a principal meeting or something?
Correct,
So
yeah.
everyone, all principals had an equal opportunity to say whatever they wanted to say?
That's correct.
Correct. And who's on the Elementary Collaborative Council?
The Elementary Collaborative Council has representatives from every building and it's a combination of district administration, building principals, and lead members.
So again, all the elementary schools?
Throughout the
have
entire
it.
district, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. And then in February, as of most recently, we collaborated again with principals to solicit feedback regarding the units of instruction for the proposed special replacement so that we could get a little bit further into our development of that plan. I want to take a little step back. When we conduct a specials review, the idea is to kind of crosswalk standards. And the idea there is to look for standards that may be duplicated across other specials or within core content to make sure that we are providing the best experience utilizing the resources that we have available to us. So we identified areas of possible redundancy in the core content areas, identified possible expansion of experiences, and also attempted to maximize FTE, or full-time equivalency, for specials allocations and try and remain cost neutral. Through that review process, we identified that the media special, and I say the media special, not the media program, as in our libraries, the media class contains significant overlapping content with other instructional areas. Those areas were core classrooms, our STEM specials, and also the elementary digital scope and sequence, which was developed alongside our one-to-one rollout. The specials of art, music, and PE did not have any significant overlap, so we did focus on that media special and the standards contained within. Additionally, we looked at the standards addressed in the media specials and wanted to identify areas that those standards could be further pushed into areas such as the remaining specials curriculum, the core content areas, and also through the digital scope and sequence using our one-to-one program. We also meet state media requirements by the purchasing and the weeding of our library books, both in traditional format, ebooks, audiobooks, scheduling book checkouts pre-K through 5, and enhancing that program. The implementation of that digital learning scope and sequence, which incorporates information literacy, and it's supported by the district providing digital resources. And the last item, implementing an ELA curriculum, which incorporates research skills and supported by the district provided databases. All of those different pieces we determined could be implemented in an area other than the media special. That leads us to our recommendation from the team to change the media special to a Skills for Success course. That was the identified and recommended program from our collaborative council and our principals to replace the media special, and that's what we are identifying as the new special course offering at the elementary level for the 22-23 school year. You can see here general topics that we can expect to include in this program is speaking and listening skills, organization, executive functioning. We're going to continue our vertical alignment with the middle school and secondary or high school options, utilizing those PACE framework concepts, the post-secondary career expectations framework, self-advocacy, critical thinking, and financial literacy. Those are just some of the starting blocks for this program, and one of the nice opportunities here is that this can be somewhat of a fluid course offering. As we see needs within our buildings, this can be brought into this special in more of a real-time format. So we're excited about the opportunity there as well. So that's the information I have for you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain those.
I do.
Yeah.
Who's the developer of Skills for Success?
So it would be our academic team, Dr. Freeman
internal,
and her
okay.
team, alongside some of the building principals and with feedback from teachers as well.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job.
Appreciate it.
So next up would be, I believe, our high school math adoption, which I believe is Dr. Freeman and Miss Carrie Waller.
Good evening, Board of Education and Superintendent Harkin. With me tonight is Carrie Waller, Director of Mathematics. Tonight we will be sharing an update on our recent high school math materials review and our recommendation to the board. D300 has a curriculum and materials adoption review cycle of approximately 6 years. During that 6-year rotation, our materials and resources are reviewed for alignment with our curriculum and our current instructional best practices. We work on a 6-year rotation so that we are constantly reviewing and renewing materials as appropriate. This helps us make sure that all content areas get consistent review and also helps us from a financial perspective to keep expenditures fairly even across budget years. We are here tonight to share with you an overview of the high school math materials review process and our recommendation. This year, we reviewed materials for the core high school math courses, including Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus. First, we assembled a district team made up of directors and assistant superintendents who represented a diverse cross-section of our district administrative team. The district team reviewed all of the materials that were submitted through the RFP. We then created teacher review teams, working collaboratively with LEAD. There were teachers on the teams representing all 4 courses: English language learners, special education learners, and digital literacy. Our recommendations tonight are supported by both the administrative and teacher teams. Of course, all resources have also been reviewed and vetted by the technology team to ensure that they will function on our devices and on our network.
The first course we reviewed is Algebra 1. A few key concepts covered in Algebra 1 include solving linear equations, graphing functions, and solving quadratic functions. This is a course typically taken by our freshman students. Therefore, we are recommending HMH into AGA for our Algebra 1B course. Next, we reviewed geometry. A few concepts covered in geometry include congruent triangles, properties of quadrilaterals, and trigonometry. Geometry is typically taken by our sophomores, but at times is also taken by freshmen. For this course, we are also recommending HMH into AGA for geometry. The third course we reviewed is Algebra 2. This is a continuation of our Algebra 1 course, which includes graphing a variety of functions, along with statistics and probability. This course is often taken by a mixture of sophomores and juniors. We are also recommending HMH into AGA for Algebra 2 to help with vertical articulation amongst the math courses. Finally, we reviewed Pre-Calculus. This course has a large focus on trigonometry and a continuation of functions both graphically and algebraically. This course is often taken by juniors and seniors. Therefore, we felt that the HMH Pre-Calculus materials would be a great fit for our students. After completing a thorough review, we are recommending the HMH into AGA series for Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, and the HMH Pre-Calculus series for Pre-Calculus. Our next step in the curriculum adoption process is that the materials are available for public review. After that, then this materials adoption item will be on an April agenda for the board's official vote.
Can you tell me about the 30-day public review? What do members of the public need to do? Where would they go?
I'd be happy to answer that
Thank
one
you.
for you, Dr. Scarpino.
Thank you.
These materials are available. They can contact me, Chief Academic Officer. I'll give them access, whether it be a digital license that they can explore the tools online, or we also have some printed materials as well here at Central Office.
And how would they know, how do they get into contact with you? Email, phone, or what?
Email would be terrific, elizabeth.freeman@d300.org.
Okay, thank you.
Happy to
I
help.
wanted that recorded so people know.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, any questions? Yes.
Yes, I have a question. I have a 9th grade student, and my question would be, from prior students, I know we looked at the administrators, the teachers, and the technological team, but have we ever considered talking to previous students? Now that COVID-19 the last 2 years has affected parents, I mean, math today is different from when I did math years ago. So if we're going to, since education is forever evolving, I think we should probably consider talking to students, previous students, and parents that's now became educators at home because of COVID-19. Just a suggestion.
Thank you. I agree.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As part of your review process, do you look at all about how the different resources that you're comparing and contrasting will work with our current technology?
Yes, we do a thorough review with that and make sure that it will work with our current technology and our platforms that we have.
So, I mean, theoretically, what would happen if a resource was maybe thought to be superior, but it didn't necessarily work extremely well with our current technology? Would we just have to go with an inferior product, or would we find a way to work with the resource that we actually want, that we think will serve our students the best?
I think through the process, we did find that the products will work with the technology and the platforms we have, and they do meet the best needs of our students sitting in front of us. So I think we picked a product that aligns both to our needs and that does fit with our technology.
Did you find that most of the educators that were part of your review process were all on the same page with what they selected?
I think there were some split votes on it, and ultimately, when we did our final review, we did pick HMH.
What other resources did you review?
Savvis and Cengage.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board members have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Vicente. Dr. Freeman, please stay up there, and Ms. Sainsbury. Tonight, we're finally getting to reviewing the 2021 achievement results summary, and they're going to walk you through. We generally, I'm not sure when we would normally do this, but we're here tonight to walk you through what assessment data we have that was completed last school year.
Yes. Good evening, Superintendent Harkin and Board of Education members. Tonight, I'm here with Liz Freeman, Chief Academic Officer, and Chris Sansbury, Chief of Schools, to provide you with an overview of student performance results. In typical years, you often see this either in December or in January of a school year, sharing results from the previous state assessments. So District 300 utilizes a variety of assessments to measure student performance and growth, both from the state and local levels. The chart that you see up there is a general summary, and you can see that not every assessment is utilized at every grade level, but there are a multitude. We are not going to review all of these this evening because we would be here for the next 2 hours doing so. Tonight, we're going to focus on highlighting student performance on the state assessments of SAT and IAR, that's the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, and our local assessment of iReady, which is utilized with students in grades K through 8. So our assessment results certainly have been impacted by the pandemic. Historically, District 300 has seen very high participation rates by our students for all statewide assessments, usually close to or at 100%. Due to the shutdown at the onset of the pandemic, there were no state assessments delivered in the spring of 2020, creating a gap year. The last time that the Board of Education saw a presentation regarding state assessment results was in December of 2019, for those of you who were on the board. The Illinois State Board of Education announced late in the 2021 testing season, so that would have been late last spring, that they would be extending the testing window to the end of the school year, or districts could choose to wait until this fall, the fall of 2021, 2021, to take the assessment from the previous year. So school districts did have a choice. District 300 chose to actually give our state assessments last spring because many of our buildings had already started assessments by the time the Illinois State Board of Education gave that option. What that means is that when you look at state test results, some students across the state took assessments in grades 6 through 8 over 6 months apart from each other. So the state assessment results show some students that took the assessment potentially in April or May of last year, and some took it in October of this year. So you can see that the assessment results are definitely varied. Another piece is due to the pandemic and the change in those requirements from ISBE, we saw a drastic decrease in the participation rates for state assessments in the 2021 school year. As I said before, we typically have about 100% of our students who participate, and in this assessment we had 1/3 to 1/2 of those students. So this is not the typical representation of our total student population that we normally are able to see. Another highlight is that in the last 10 years, the state has actually changed assessments or the assessment window at the K-8 level 4 times and twice at the high school level. And these changes do impact our ability to compare student performance data over time. Currently, ISB is actually exploring options for another change in assessments for statewide accountability, and members of our team have had the opportunity to review their webinars and weigh in on how we feel that could affect us. But obviously, as a school district, we would like to be tracking our data over time, and having consistent assessments given at the same time of the year allows us to have that data be more meaningful and more predictive of our student performance. So you could see there are some challenges there. The district did make the local decision to continue to administer iReady and district common assessments during this time, with the knowledge that testing conditions varied because some of our students were in person, some were in remote, and some were in hybrid conditions. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Freeman to start actually walking you through our SAT overview, and then I will be back.
To provide some context for the SAT scores, the state uses a different metric than the College Board does for SAT. This data set allows us to see the impact from not only a state level, but also a national level. Our mean SAT scores have historically been about 20 points lower than the state of Illinois and about 50 points lower than the nation. During the 2021 school year, D300 students were behind the state by only 10 points and 28 points behind the nation. Let me orient you to the data that we are looking at. This slide is in 3 sections: a section to the left, which is district data, a section in the center, which is state data, and the section to the right, which is national data. At the top of the screen, the scores in the boxes are pre-pandemic scores for the district, state, and nation. The scores to the right of each box are the scores from the 2021 school year. Let's look at district data on the left. The mean score of 982 was the average SAT score at D300 pre-pandemic. We dropped to a 970 average in the 2021 school year. That decline is mirrored in the state, which moved from an average of 1,004 to 980, and the national data also reflects this trend from a 1031 to a 998. In looking at that complete data set, our local declined average is only 12 points, whereas the state was a 24-point decline, and nationally, there was a 33-point decline. Let's move to the lower half of the slide. Again, with district data to the left, state data in the center, and national data on the right. This information shows you the percent of students who met benchmarks overall and in each testing area. At D300, you can see that we experienced a decline in evidence-based reading and writing, which is indicated by ERW on the chart, and also in math. That is reflected in our met both benchmarks information in the top row. These trends are also reflected in state and national data. The same SAT assessment is scored for 2 different purposes. The SAT scores from College Board are available for students to use for college entrance, should they choose to. The Illinois State Board of Education utilizes the same data, but with different scoring and reporting methods for state accountability measures. The data that we are looking at here are the state accountability measures. In the box on the left, we see the scores from 2018-19. And in the box on the right are scores from 2021. The blue bar represents D300 in each of these graphs, and the orange bar represents the state. In both boxes, ELA is on the first set of bars and math is the second. Historically, D300 has been at or above the statewide percent of students meeting or exceeding on SAT components. For the 2021 school year, we fell just 2% short of the state average in ELA and 3% short of the state average in math. Our mean SAT scores have historically been about 20 points lower than the state of Illinois and about 50 points lower than the nation. During the 2021 school year, D300 students were behind the state by only 10 points and 28 points behind the nation. Historically, D300 has been at or above the statewide percent of students meeting or exceeding on SAT components. For the 2021 school year, We fell just 2% short of the state average in ELA and 3% short of the state average in math. Next, we'll take a look at the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, the IAR. This assessment is taken by students in grades 3 through 8 and centers on English language arts and math. Here you see the percentage of students meeting or exceeding standards on the IAR for English language arts. Each group of bars is a grade level, with grade 3 on the left, grade 8 on the right. Again, the blue bar is D300, and the orange bars represent the state. The bars represent data from the 2021 school year. For comparison, you can see the colored dots, which represent scores from 18-19, the most recent comparative year. When comparing D300 to the state of Illinois, we noticed that of the students who tested, they scored several percentage points lower than those who tested in the rest of the state. For example, looking at grade 4 in 18-19, approximately 35% of students met or exceeded standards in ELA, while in 2021, 25% of the students met or exceeded. Let's take a look at math results for IAR. The graph layout is the same, with blue bars representing D300. Here again, you can see the district and state previous performance identified by the colored dots. Those were the results from 18-19. The bars are the results from 2021. When comparing D300 to the state of Illinois, we noticed that of the students who tested, they scored several percentage points lower than those who tested in the rest of the state. You may note that our 7th grade students had the most significant decrease in performance. Later, we'll show you how our current 8th grade students are doing in math. It will be the same group of students represented here as 7th graders. Historically, D300 students have scored at or above the state in both reading and math for most grade levels. For the 2021 IAR, D300 students generally scored lower than students who tested across the state. In most grade levels, the gap between the D300 performance and the state performance was not as significant in math as it was in English language arts. In English language arts, the largest performance gap between D300 and state IAR scores was noted in grade 7. In math, the largest performance gap between D300 and state IAR scores was once again noted in grade 7. D300 6th graders outperformed the state in the area of math by 2%. Next, we'll have Chris Sansbury.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. Now let's move on to one of our key local assessments, iReady. At District 300, we use iReady in grades K through 8 to measure student growth in both math and reading. This is an online assessment that students complete during the school day. To orient you to this image, I want to first explain what the different color bands mean within each bar. The dark red portion of the bar represents the percentage of students performing 3 or more grade levels below their assigned grade level. The light red represents who are performing 2 grade levels below. Yellow is 1 grade level below. And a light green represents students who are early on grade level, following the darkest green, which represents students who are mid on grade level or above grade level. The left-hand bar represents our overall student population from this fall, September 2021, and the bar on the right indicates our overall student population this winter, in December 2021. In the area of reading, the district overall saw a large increase in students who placed on or above level, the green sections. In fall, 29% of students were on or above level. By winter, this percentage grew by 15%, for a total of 44% of students on or above grade level. In addition, there was a decrease of 9% in the number of students performing at 2 or more levels below, the red sections, from 33% to 24%. On this slide, we can see how our students performed in winter of 2021 in comparison to the national performance for winter 2021 and for the national pre-pandemic norms for the same time of year. The bar on the left represents the distribution of student scores nationally pre-pandemic in winter 18-19. The center bar represents the distribution of student scores nationally for this winter, 2021. The bar on the right represents the distribution of student scores in the district for this winter. The national norm data represents approximately 2.8 million students. Oh, apologize. As you can see, the distribution of student scores this winter is very close to returning to the pre-pandemic levels. In 18-19, 47% of students placed on or above grade level nationally. This year, 41% placed on or above grade level nationally, while 43% of district students placed on or above grade level. Our percentage of students 2 or more grade levels below were also close, with 23% of students nationally in 18-19 and 24% of D300 students in 2021. This slide shows a comparison of students' reading growth in winter of 1920 to their reading growth in the winter of 21-22. Each grade is listed along the bottom of the graph, from kindergarten to 8th grade. The light orange bars represent data from winter of 1920. The dark orange bars represent data from this year, winter 21-22. When comparing our growth measures in iReady, we are looking for students to reach 100% of their individual typical growth target by the end of the school year, meaning that a student has made 1 year's growth in 1 year's time. This is set based on their fall placement level. The farther behind a student is in the fall, the higher their expected typical growth would be in order to reach grade level targets. A highlight from this data is our current 8th grade students' growth. In the previous pre-pandemic year of 1920, students in grade 8 had on average reached 50% of their typical growth targets by the winter testing. This year, they have more than doubled that by 117% for their total growth. This means they have made more than 1 year's growth from September to December 2021. You may remember that earlier in this presentation, Dr. Freeman shared that this is the same group of students who had the largest performance drop as 7th graders with the IAR state reading test. Now let's look at iReady math performance. This slide and the next two will look very familiar to you as they are the exact same layout as our data for reading. This first slide illustrates where our D300 students were in their math placement in the fall to where they were in the winter assessment. The district saw an overall large increase in students who placed on or above grade level, which again is the green sections. In the fall, there were 18% of students on or above level. By winter, the percentages of students on or above level grew by 16% for a total of 34%. We also saw a decrease of 12% in the number of students performing at 2 or more grade levels below, indicated by the red sections. Generally speaking, we want to see the red areas diminish and the green areas increase, which is exactly what you see here. This demonstrates that many of our students are moving from below grade level status to an on grade level status. This slide again compares how our districts performed in math in winter of 2021 in comparison to the national performance for winter 2021 and for the national pre-pandemic norms for the same time of year. As you can see from the distribution of student scores this winter, As a district, we still have not reached our pre-pandemic performance in the area of math. However, the district's performance in the winter of 2021 is ahead of the national performance. This year, nationally, 31% of students placed on or above grade level, while 34% of District 300 students placed on or above grade level. Our percentage of students 2 or more grade levels below was at 21%, while nationally, 24% of students were 2 or more grade levels below. As a district, our students have outperformed the rest of the nation who have tested during the winter benchmark. Now let's look again at a comparison of students' math growth in the winter of 1920 to their math growth in the winter of 21-22. Please remember the typical math growth for an entire year is 100%, meaning that a student has made 1 year's growth in 1 year's time. When comparing our median percent of typical growth achieved this year to the last typical fall to winter growth in 1920, all grade levels except for kindergarten had a higher median typical growth achieved. At halfway through the year, all grade levels are now above the 50% mark. Our current 8th grade students' percent of typical growth this year was 23% higher than 2 years prior. Also noted, our current 5th grade student performance is at 72% of the growth expected for 5th graders for this time of year. This indicates again that our students are gaining ground to recoup the gaps in learning from the pandemic. And as a summary from all the data you have now just looked at, I'll recap with a few items for you. In the winter benchmarking in the areas of reading, the district saw a large increase in students who placed on level in reading with a growth of 15% from the fall. When looking at historical national norms in reading, D300 is close to returning to the pre-pandemic levels. This indicates that we outperformed the placements of the nearly 2.8 million students nationwide who also tested within that same benchmark window. Pre-pandemic, by winter benchmarking, grade 8 students historically have met approximately 50% of their typical growth goal, which would be expected. However, this school year, we did see our grade 8 students already exceed their growth goal with 100% for the entire year. So our 8th graders are growing quite well. And for our math summary, a few key points. In the winter benchmarking in the areas of math, the district overall saw a large increase in students who placed on level in math with a growth of 16%. iReady scores show that we, along again with the 2.8 million other kids who have tested, we have yet to recover to those pre-pandemic levels. In the area of math, grades 2 through 8 have all met larger percentages of their annual typical growth goals than in the pre-pandemic years. Pre-pandemic, by winter benchmarking, historically grade 8 students have met approximately 44% of their typical growth goals in math. In the 2022 winter benchmark, grade 8 students have already exceeded their typical performance and have reached 67% of their annual typical growth goal, which again is 100%. And I'll turn it over to Cara for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Chris. So you saw us focusing a lot in the 8th grade level, and I just want to make a comment. Obviously, we recognize that as students transition from 8th grade into the high school, their time with us is growing smaller. We certainly realize how difficult it is for a student who's entering high school if they have gaps and are not on grade level. So we wanted to highlight that grade level because it was an area where we saw a decline in our state assessments, and we wanted to show you what those students have been able to do with in-person instruction, and we feel that's a positive sign. So how have we addressed some of the needs that we knew? Our teachers, our families, our parents all knew our kids were struggling in different ways, being in remote and or hybrid instruction. And again, those state assessments are a result of where kids were at after spending a spring in shutdown, a summer where they most likely weren't out and about too much, a fall in fully remote, and then a spring again in either remote or hybrid, some on shift schedules. So that's what your data is reflecting in the state assessments. Our iReady data is what's reflecting now that they are with us full-time in person. So what are some things that, as a district, we have tried to do this year, and these are just a few highlights. We did provide a K-8 summer option, which we have typically not done last summer at all of our schools, to work on closing gaps and identified key learning standards. We provided our staff with professional development and continuous support on that remote and hybrid instruction during the school year of 2021, and then this year focused on how they would actually compact the curriculum and prioritize the key standards, knowing some of our students would have some areas that they were not typically as strong as they typically would be. We added additional certified primary grade level support staff for 21-22. Thank you to the board for approving that. We added middle school and high school interventionists to work with our students who were performing at that 2 or more grade level below. Again, thank you. We hired a director of academic MTSS, that's multi-tiered support, and that was really to be able to track our student data and provide support to those interventionists so that we could maximize the amount of time that students that were receiving interventions. And as I know has been a common theme throughout our board meetings over the last few months, as a district, Superintendent Harkin and the board has prioritized in-person instruction to the greatest extent possible. And I think our iReady data shows that our kids respond to being in person. It is difficult for parents. I know my husband got to be a end of the year kindergarten and whole first grade teacher. He did his best. He was very thankful for my son to be in full-time in-person instruction in second grade. So I know, all of us have been impacted by that also. So
And if I could just jump in right there as well too, just so you know, nope, stay, yep, that slide. Many of what's up here was funded through our ESSER dollars. So if we want to talk about where those dollars are going, the certified primary grade level support staff were direct people working with students to help with their ELA and learning. The middle school and high school interventionists were also provided through the ESSER dollars to give targeted instruction to students that were falling behind. Professional development was also funded through the ESSER dollars. The director of academic MTSS was funded through the ESSER dollars. So again, when we've been provided those dollars, these are some of the things that we want to put the face to on what those dollars went to support where our students were behind, and then being able to then catch them up to ensure that we could keep them progressing.
Thank you, Mrs. Harkin. So as we look forward to next year, obviously, we will be learning more about our strategic plan process that's coming forward, and I'm sure there will be many things that haven't even yet been determined that we will be focusing on, but here are some things that we already know that we will plan to be doing to continue to address the needs, because we recognize that our kids are not exactly where we would like them to be. One, we are going to continue to offer a K-8 summer option at all of our schools. We're going to continue to look at ways we can support our students in their social emotional learning needs in order for them to be able to access their academic readiness. Kids who are not available to be here in school, meaning they're present, but emotionally they are not available, do not learn in the same way students who are able to attend to instruction. We will continue to have collaborative teams, teacher teams meet regularly to review student data and adjust their instruction as part of our professional learning community work. And that really is to meet the needs of our diverse learning population. That would be occurring whether we were exiting, hopefully, a pandemic or not, but this is especially critical right now as we know that some of our students still have gaps. We will have schools use this spring's state and local assessment data to develop their new school improvement plans. They had not had state data a year ago to be able to do that, so we were excited that they hopefully will have close to real-time data. And then as we develop a new strategic plan, we are hoping to have a focused goal on individual student growth and achievement with planned targets in the strategic plan for students performing on level in English language arts and math.
What will be the length of time for the summer option at all schools?
In the past, we have done 2 full weeks. Research says that kids need to have at least 20 to 24 hours in order for an impact to be made, and that is what we offered last summer, and we plan to offer that again.
Okay, thank you.
And who can participate in that?
So We certainly do try to identify students that we feel have the largest gaps, but it is open to all students. This is funded through grant dollars, and last year we did not have to turn away any families. Now, some families feel like their children need a break, and they may be doing other types of activities to support their students' learning, but we did not have to turn anyone away last year.
I have one other question. The SAT data that you shared, what grade, is that all of high school? Is that juniors and seniors?
SAT is typically given to 11th graders. Now, there were some students who in the pandemic had to take that in their senior year, but this was reflective of the juniors.
Do we track at all the PSAT scores?
Yes, we do, but we did not, obviously, the PSAT was not offered. So this fall, our high school principals actually advocated that our students take the PSAT and MSQT. That's the National Merit Scholarship portion of it. And so we are using the SAT full program 9 through 11. And the State Board of Education does require that students have the SAT as part of a graduation requirement. So that's a piece of the puzzle.
I have one other question, I'm just curious. So on the SAT, if they take it off campus, that they can't skip the one on campus then?
So what happens is, as Dr. Freeman mentioned, SAT is used for two different purposes. If a student takes the SAT off campus, they will get their results, and they can certainly use that for their college applications. But it is not then utilized in our results for our state accountability. So we highly encourage students to take the SAT on campus because we would like the largest testing population. If we had, for example, all but 10 students to test on campus, we'd be using 10 student scores to determine accountability. So, and for some of our students, access is a challenge. They need that test provided here where they have access to it. It's an equity issue for some of our students. You're welcome. So obviously, as we develop the new strategic plan, I'm sure there will be many strategies and action items that also lead towards this, but we are looking at a target how we will ensure that our kids do reach grade level. So I realize we only discussed some of our assessments, but probably we have reached the point where you may not want us to be talking about more of them. We can always bring other things back in the future, but this concludes our presentation, and we'd happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
Board members, any questions? Very good presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So now I'd like to have Anthony begin because obviously we've got our work cut out for us, right? Those aren't where we want our scores to be, and we're really excited, really had a great conversation at Cabinet today about what the next strategic plan looks like. And so Anthony's going to walk you through our process. And what I would like to highlight is I think we did have an excellent framework that we've used previously to drive our strategic plan, and we really want to highlight this time that our plan is to make sure all stakeholders have a voice as we move forward to help frame and set the stage for us in our next strategic plan. And Anthony's here to describe and walk you through that.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Harkin, and District 300 community. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to talk about the next steps in District 300's strategic plan. To start tonight's presentation, I'd like to provide a recap of some of the previous items that we have done with our strategic plan. So in September of 2015, that is when the district officially launched our 5-year strategic plan for the years 2015 through 2020. And then during December of 2019 through March of 2020, we were in the process of having town hall meetings with various stakeholders. And we wanted to elicit feedback that was going to inform our strategic plan for the years 2020 to 2025. And that plan was going to launch in July of 2020. But then March 16th of 2020, school was closed due to COVID. And then for the previous 2 years, we focused on navigating through the pandemic. And now we are returning our focus to the strategic plan. So in order to best understand the direction that the district is heading, what we'll do is we're going to take a look at some of the accomplishments that we accomplished during our previous strategic planning session. Our previous strategic plan included a number of items which we can think of as major projects. And through our strategic plan process, we completed 1,035 items with our previous strategic plan. Let's review some of the more notable items that we completed. Prior to the last strategic plan, the district offered half-day, and full-day kindergarten that was tuition-based. Now we offer full-day kindergarten at every District 300 school completely tuition-free. We also built STEM labs in every elementary school to ensure that all of our elementary students had access to hands-on engaging science labs so they can participate in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. All District 300 students, K-12, received a Chromebook through our one-to-one initiative. We launched Pathways programs at each of our high schools, ensuring that our students have access to real-world work and accreditations. And through one of our most innovative programs, in my opinion, we have the Accelerate College program. This allows District 300 students to gain a high school diploma and an associate's degree from Eldrin Community College completely tuition-free. So the cumulative effect of completing these accomplishments for our previous strategic plan is that it helped move the district forward by improving the quality of the offerings that we provide to our students. And this was noted by several outside agencies. For example, all 11 District 300 schools that house the preschool programs in District 300, they've earned the Gold Circle of Quality Award through Accelerate Illinois. And that's the state's quality recognition and improvement system for early learning and development programs. In addition, Chicago Magazine named Algonquin Lakes Elementary, Eastview Elementary, and Newbert Elementary among the best public schools in the Chicago suburbs. Through the work that Cara and her team did through the strategic plan, all District 300 high schools have a graduation rate above 90%. And that caught the attention of U.S. News & World Report, and for the last several years, all District 300 high schools have been named among the best high schools in the nation by U.S. News & World Report. And as we heard earlier this evening, our niche rating climbed from before the strategic plan, we were at the 136th ranked district in Illinois. Today, we're at the 70th ranked. So we're proud of these accomplishments, but we also know that the world has changed and that the district must continue evolving to ensure our success. And so that is why the district is going to be asking for feedback from all of our stakeholders to help set the direction of our strategic plan for the next several years. So when I'm referring to the stakeholder groups, who am I speaking about? Really, it's everyone involved in our community, from board members to community members to parents, staff, students. We want to make sure that everyone is able to provide feedback. So how will we be doing that? In April and May, so over the next 2 months, we're going to provide stakeholders to 2 different opportunities to provide feedback. We will offer live sessions and on-demand sessions. Live sessions are going to be held throughout April and May for all stakeholder groups. Each session is going to last approximately 45 minutes and will contain 2 different portions. The first will be a review of our strategic plan and what that process entails, and the other is going to be a thought exchange activity. Thought exchange is a platform that we're using to capture feedback, and we'll get into that a little bit more later in this presentation. But we also know that there may be scheduling conflicts with the community of our size, and some simply may not be able to attend a live session. So we're also creating on-demand sessions that can be accessed at any point in time. We're going to provide a minimum of a 2-week window for all stakeholders to complete this. And during that process, we're going to have a companion video that has the same content from the live session. So if you can't attend a live session, you're not missing anything, all that information will be available to you. And there'll also be a link to the thought exchange activity. So if you want to walk through the process with a District 300 staff member, you can go through the live session. If you'd like to do it independently, you can go to an on-demand session. So what will these feedback portions entail? These feedback sessions, what will they entail? There's 2 parts. The first is an overview of the strategic plan. So what I'll do right now is I'll show you the 5 goals in our next strategic plan, just as a high-level overview. So again, this is for our forthcoming strategic plan. Goal number 1 is to ensure student growth and individual achievement. So what we're looking to do here is to ensure that all students have the ability to access coursework that aligns with their individual strengths, interests, and needs. The second goal is to develop great staff and leaders. And here, we're looking to ensure that all staff have instructional resources, professional development, and opportunities needed to perform at their highest ability. Goal number 3 is to develop the whole child. And here we're looking to ensure that students can be well-rounded by providing access to resources beyond academics. Goal number 4 is to engage all stakeholders. We want to make sure that all stakeholders have a voice that guides our decision-making processes. And finally, goal number 5 is the equitable and efficient use of resources. And here we want to make sure that we are ensuring all students receive sufficient resources to have the same opportunities to succeed. So that will be the first portion, and during the live sessions, we'll go into more depth about each of those goal areas. The second portion is when the community and the stakeholders can provide their feedback, and they're going to use a platform called Thought Exchange. So I'll provide a very brief overview of what this tool is. So Thought Exchange essentially allows a stakeholder to provide their feedback, and then what's really neat about this process is it allows you to read other comments, rate them, and review them. So let me show you an example. There's a 4-step process to Thought Exchange. The first one is selecting the group you're affiliated with. So for example, a board member, parent, or student, and this will become important a little later on. The second portion is a question. So in this case, we're going to ask, what are the top priorities that should guide the future direction of the district? This is when in step 3, a stakeholder will have the opportunity to provide their perspective and their feedback, and then they'll be able to emphasize why it's important to them. And then they're going to click that purple button that says Submit Your Thought. Once they click on that button, their thought and their perspective is going to go into something called a thought exchange. And that you can really think of that as a container that houses all of the different thoughts. Then individuals are going to be able to read the thoughts and rank and determine, is this something that matters to me? Do I agree with this, or do I not agree with this? So let me kind of show you exactly what that looks like. When individuals are going to be rating responses, we really wanted to make sure that they're rating responses that are relevant to them. So we're going to allow students to rate student thoughts, parents to rate parent thoughts, so on and so forth. But we also realize that there may be times when parents want to see what student thoughts are, or maybe staff want to see what parent thoughts are. So that's where we're going to have our commitment to transparency. All thoughts that are submitted in Thought Exchange will be accessible on the District 300 website and will be viewable to the public. In addition, we're going to present the board with the thoughts during the July board meeting. So we want to make sure that we're transparent with this process and that everyone's thoughts are viewed. Okay. We hosted our very first strategic plan feedback session on March 4th. This is with 37 District 300 staff members. We were able to ask 2 different questions. The first question received 46 different perspectives, and they was rated 654 times. And then we asked a second question that received 34 responses, and those 34 responses received 755 ratings. So when we talk about thoughts and ratings, what ultimately does that look like? What Thought Exchange does is it starts ranking the thoughts based on their rating. So we can determine what are the most popular ones, which ones do people really agree with, which ones perhaps are more polarizing, and which ones do not really have any sort of strong opinion either way. So in this particular circumstance, when we asked what are the top priorities that should guide the future direction of the district, the top thought was provided differentiated instruction for all levels because children learn at different speeds. So this is the final slide of the presentation this evening. So I'll provide kind of an overview of the next steps in the strategic plan. So in April and May, we'll be conducting those strategic plan feedback sessions with all stakeholders in our community. Then in May, June, and July, we're going to review that feedback, and we're going to prepare a draft version of the strategic plan for the board. In July of 22, we'll present and share the stakeholder feedback during a board meeting. And then we have 2 board meetings in August. During the first board meeting, the district will present the board with the draft of the strategic plan. And then during the second meeting, we would present the strategic plan for a formal vote from the board. So that concludes this presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions or turn it over to Superintendent Harkin.
It's well thought out. Very good. Very good. Board members, any questions?
Thank you, Anthony.
Carl? Yes, sir.
When you're looking at the top rated strategic plan as far as the comments go, I'm assuming that you're looking at the percentage like 4.2. What happens if you have parents that have a lower rating or maybe a lower score? Are you going to also consider those as well?
Absolutely. We will not discard any feedback regardless of what the score is. So we're going to look at every single comment. And as I mentioned earlier, all of those comments will be available on the District 300 website to make sure that that's all out there for the community. And every thought will also be presented to the board.
Okay, so I have.
Any other board members, any questions or anything? No? Thank you very much, Mr. McGinn.
And that concludes the superintendent's report. And I appreciate everybody hanging in there, but I think this was really important information for us to share tonight. And I
Absolutely.
think it's really important for us as we move forward. So thank
Absolutely.
you.
Item number 8 is the legislative update. Any legislative update? No? Item number 9, the consent items under $25,000. As a reminder to those in attendance and those watching virtually, each of these items has been previously vetted through either the Finance or Construction Facilities Oversight Committee, CFOC. Do I have a motion to approve the consent items under $25,000?
So moved.
Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Fiorentino,
Aye.
Zeller,
Aye.
Scarpino,
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Stevens, present. Thomas. Burkett.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 10, roll call action items. I will read each item individually. 10.1, approval of custodial uniform bid. May I have a motion for the approval of the custodial uniform bid?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Lamarca, aye. Burkett.
Aye.
Zeller. Thomas. Scarpino.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.2, approval of PE uniform bid. Do I have a motion for the approval of the PE uniform bid?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Thomas. Lamarca, aye. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Zeller.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.3, approval of mulch bid. Do I have a motion to approve the mulch bid?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, any discussion? I'm sorry. Any discussion? No? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Zeller.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Scarpino.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Thomas. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.4, approval of career technical education equipment bid. Do I have a motion for the approval of the career technical education equipment bid?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Lamarca, aye. Zettler.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.5, approval of E-rate Category 2 bid. Do I have a motion for the approval of the E-rate Category 2 bid?
So moved.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Thomas. Burkett.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Motion passes 6-0.
Item 10.6, approval of NIA services and fee contract renewal. Do I have a motion for the approval of the NIA services and fee contract renewal?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just comment that
Yes, sir.
I plan to abstain, just as a point of reference, I am on the current NIA board.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Lamarca, aye. Zettler.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Abstain?
Burkett.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Thomas. Motion passes 5-0-1.
Thank you. Item 10.7, approval of student yearbook contract RFP extension. Do I have a motion for the approval of the student yearbook contract RFP extension?
So moved.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Burkett,
Aye.
Thomas. Lamarca, aye. Fiorentino,
Aye.
Zettler,
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.8, approval to display proposed high school math curriculum adoption.
So moved.
Do I have a motion for the approval to display proposed high school math curriculum adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Zettler,
Aye.
Fiorentino,
Aye.
Lamarca, aye. Burkett,
Aye.
Thomas, Scarpino.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.9, approval of Village of Carpentersville TIF intergovernmental agreement. Do I have a motion for the approval of the Village of Carpentersville TIF intergovernmental agreement? I will ask again. Do I have a motion for the approval of the Village of Carpentersville TIF intergovernmental agreement? Hearing none,
So moved.
so moved. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Zettler,
No.
Thomas. Fiorentino,
Aye.
Burkett,
No.
Lamarca, no. Scarpino.
Aye.
Okay, the motion does not pass. 2-0-4.
Thank you. Item 10.10, approval of resolution to dismiss for lack of proper certification.
That vote was, can you go back to, it was 2-4, wasn't it? Not 2-0-4?
Oh, did I say it backwards? There was 4 nays
Yes.
and 2 fours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yays.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I need to read the resolution, board members. Community Unit School District 300, resolution authorizing notice of honorable dismissal to non-tenured teachers lacking proper certification. Whereas the Board of Education, the Board of Community Unit School District 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb Counties, Illinois, the district, is prohibited by law from employing certain teachers who lack proper certification. Whereas the board has received reports and recommendations from members of the administration concerning the lack of proper certification maintained by non-tenured teacher. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of School District Number 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb Counties, Illinois, as follows. Number 1, that this Board of Education, pursuant to Section 5/24-11 of the Illinois School Code, hereby determines that those teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1, attached hereto, and made part of hereof, are hereby honorably dismissed as teachers in this school district for the next ensuing school term, and accordingly, that the present contract of employment of the teacher shall terminate at the close of the present term. Number 2, that the president and secretary of this Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to give to the persons enumerated on Exhibit 1 by personal service, certified mail, and return receipt requested, a written notice of this board's decision to not reemploy those teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1 for the next school term, which notice shall be substantiated in the form of Exhibit 2, attached hereto and made a part hereof. And number 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect and after its adoption. Do I have a motion for the approval of the resolution to dismiss for lack of proper certification? Is there a second? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Thomas. Zettler.
Aye.
Lamarca. Aye. Scarpino.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.11, approval of the resolution to release non-tenured staff. I need to read the resolution. Community Unit School District Number 300. Resolution authorizing notice of dismissal to part-time through year 3 non-tenured teachers. Whereas the Board of Education, the Board of Community Unit School District 300, Kane, McHenry, Cook, and DeKalb Counties, Illinois, the district, has received reports and recommendations from members of the administration concerning the performance of first, second, and third year non-tenured teachers, and whereas such reports and recommendations indicate that the board should dismiss such teachers effective at the close of the 2021-2022 school term. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of Community Unit School District 300 as follows. Number 1, that this Board of Education, pursuant to Section 5/24-11 of the Illinois School Code, hereby determines that those non-tenured teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1, attached hereto, and made a part hereof shall not be reemployed for the following school term, and are hereby dismissed as teachers in this school district effective at the end of the present 2021-2022 school term. Second, that the President and Secretary of this Board of Education are hereby authorized and directed to give to the persons enumerated on Exhibit 1 by personal service, certified mail, and return receipt requested, a written notice of this board's decision to dismiss those non-tenured teachers enumerated on Exhibit 1 at the end of the present school term, which notice shall be substantiated in the form of Exhibit 2, attached hereto and made a part hereof. And number 3, that this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption. Do I have a motion for the approval of resolution to release non-tenured staff? I'll make the motion then. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Madam Secretary, any discussion?
Yes, what is the, you say non-tenured staff, is it some reasons or?
I'll have Mr.
Yes.
Moore come up and speak to this, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We do it every year.
Thank you. I can address that question. The question is, are there any reasons? Yes, the reasons are performance-related issues, and this is a non-tenured teacher.
And is that the only reason, because you're not trying to release all non-tenured teachers, just the ones with performance issues?
That is correct. This motion is to release one teacher for performance-related matters, non-tenured teacher.
The attached exhibit has the name of the teacher on it.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay, any other questions from board members? We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Scarpino.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Lamarca. Aye. Fiorentino.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
And Burkett. Aye. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 10.12, approval of out-of-district travel request. Do I have a motion for the approval of out-of-district travel request?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, and can somebody explain, because there's some question out there in the public about what this is actually about, what this trip involves, and
So Cara, it's, or Chris, I believe this is the trip for DMS, and if we want, Joe, you're here, I apologize, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Good evening. This is actually a reoccurring trip. This is not the first time that the trip has happened. I think it's going to be the third year. It happened didn't happen in 2020 or 2021 due to COVID. But prior, Mr. Wicker, one of the teachers at Dundee Middle School, worked with Mr. Corey, the assistant principal, to put into place an incentive-based field trip for students that have struggled either academically and or behaviorally in classes historically, and it's really an incentive-based motivator for students that otherwise wouldn't necessarily participate in extracurriculars, are kind of disenfranchised by school in general, and trying to reach them on a personal level and spark some interest in them to be more successful in the year. So they actually work collaboratively with a small team to identify a very small group of students. The ratio adult to student is very close, and they go through all the procedures to make sure that there's liability and all that is taken care of as well. Obviously, it's a canoeing trip, so there's water involved and outdoor recreation.
So approximately at any given time, how many kids go on this trip?
6 to 8.
Okay, and then how many chaperones would you say you have?
I think it's 2 to 3. I'd have to look at the exact numbers, but I can email Mrs. Harkin tomorrow.
And those chaperones are they make up staff or are they
Certified staff,
Oh,
yes.
staff,
Yes.
okay. And it's up in Minnesota?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's not an adjacent state, so it requires board approval for travel.
How is it funded?
I'm sorry?
How is it funded?
It's through student activity funds, so there is some fee to it, but they try to do some fundraising as well to offset those costs. So the exact fee, I'd have to look at the actual letter, but it's a combination of activity count and student fees, but also fundraising efforts with those students.
And is this just at one school or is this at several different schools?
No, it's just one school.
One school,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from board members? No? We have a motion. Do we have a second already? We do have a second. So Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Zettler.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Scarpino.
Aye.
Burkett.
Aye.
Fiorentino.
Aye.
Lamarca. Aye. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 11, board discussion. Any updates regarding the board's committees? Standing board joint committee at all?
We talked about, I think, almost everything tonight. We vetted everything on the agenda, including mulch. So it was a very, very good meeting. The next meeting is April 12th.
Any board members have anything they would like to share or talk about?
I would.
Go right ahead.
I would like to see if it's possible to bring in somebody from Carpentersville that could give us a presentation on this TIF and answer any questions that we have, because honestly, I do have a few questions. I think in premise, it's a good deal, but there are things that I have not been able to figure out or find out in my own research that I'd like to have answered if it's possible to do that.
Yeah, I believe there was a representative at the last Board Finance Committee meeting, so I think if you could provide us with what questions you're looking for previous to that meeting, because I do know he was on, because I believe we did that virtually and he was there, but it's hard when you can't see. So I definitely know that they are available to be able to answer any questions, but I think if you could maybe provide it to us and maybe go through the chair to do that piece so we can bring them together, I would be happy to facilitate that at the next
That'd be great. I'll
committee
have
meeting.
it for you tomorrow.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Any other board members? No? Item number 12, public participation. We have had 2 people sign up for public participation. I will call each of you up individually to the podium. Please state your name and relationship to the district and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please note the following. Each speaker has been provided with the guidelines for public participation. Minors need to be accompanied by their parents or guardians. The board will consider your comments, but will not dialogue or engage with the speakers in this forum. Questions raised may be assigned to the superintendent for an answer. As appropriate, a member of the administration may reach out to the speaker to give them relevant information or to ask for additional information. This is done to make sure the board has all the information needed to properly address the speaker's concerns. Charges, complaints, or challenges against staff members of the district will not be heard in open meetings and should be made in writing to the board and superintendent. We also ask that speakers refrain from personally attacking district staff or members of the board. Pursuant to board policy, this evening's participants must limit their comments to 3 minutes. We ask each participant to be respectful to all individuals who have signed up to speak and adhere to the allotted time limit. We also ask that speakers conduct themselves in a civil and courteous manner and refrain from trying to engage members of the board in dialogue during public participation. Failure to abide by board time rules or those found out of order by the board may lead to exclusion from the meeting to be fair to all participants. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. The first speaker is Jim Sharkey.
Past my bedtime, guys. Wow, going late. But it is good to see many of your faces, not all of them, but good to be done with the mask thing. Happy about that. A lot of us in this community have a lot of questions about what's being taught. And the silence from you guys in this meeting and on the website is deafening. So it's been kind of interesting the last several months, you know, watching what's going on in Loudoun County and other school districts around the country, and, you know, these things we'd like to know about and where you stand on them. Critical race theory, social emotional learning, the 1619 Project, a book called Woke Baby for little kids, teaching porn in the classroom, drag queen poetry readings. I mean, these are just floating out there. We're going, gee, I wonder if that's happening in District 300, but we really don't know where to go or who to talk to or who to ask. So I'll put all this in a follow-up email to you guys, and I guess we can do it that way. But I would like to respectfully request some proactive leadership on your part, and get out to the community, put together some position papers on these issues. They're all over the place, but we don't hear one word from you guys. We just want to know what's being taught. Love to have you address cameras in the classroom. Love to have you address what's going on in Mr. Harry's DEI committee. Many of us consider that just glossed over segregation. We'd like to hear more about that and have you address that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Our second speaker is Sharon Fetting.
Hello, my name is Sharon Fetting. I have 2 kids in D300. It is nice to see most people without a mask. It's so much easier to make a speech without pulling up my mask. I have no idea how the children could have concentrated in class all the last 2 years. The other good thing, the numbers went down. 0 COVID cases with the staff. Maybe the masks were making the people sick. Those 1,800 families that you kept putting out there that would be impacted by this, well, I requested the FOIA on how many families contacted you out of 20,000 students. 27 families contacted the school about taking off the masks. I feel for the parents who might be scared because their child has issues. However, as I've said before, what did you do before the mask? I don't think I've ever seen any children before COVID wearing a mask. Once again, it's your choice. I don't have a problem if you feel you need it, but it's your choice, not the board's or the school. Stop with the vaccine push. Now that you are aware of the 1,291 side effects of the Pfizer vaccine, how can you promote the children to continue to get vaccinated and have clinics on school grounds? I'm not sure if you've done the school grounds. Someone said Westfield, but I'm not even sure if that's right. But if you are, you should stop. Did you hear Haley Bieber was in the hospital with blood clot in her brain? And the title of the article was Blood Clots Are Happening in Younger and Younger People. Why is that? This is not normal. Why has it become so common? What have we done differently in the last year? Oh yeah, the big push to vaccinate the healthy children. Something to think about. Stop the discrimination, segregation, and bullying of unvaccinated children. Teachers, if you are afraid of the unvaccinated children, then you need to get another profession or get 3 masks on. You'll feel safe then. Glad to see the masks are gone for now, but if you think for 1 minute that we are going back to sleep, you are wrong. We have a whole lot of issues which will be addressed in the coming months. God bless America, and thank you.
Thank you. Again, I am proud to say that the District 300 was named one of the Nietzsche's 2022 best school districts in Illinois. So obviously we're doing something right. So I'm very proud of the employees and the students and everyone. Item number 13, closed session. Do I have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, 2, parenthesis 1. Number 2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for 1 or more classes of employees, 2, parenthesis 2. Number 3, litigation, 2, parenthesis 11. And 4, security procedures, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel to respond to an actual, a threatened, or a reasonably potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, the public, or public property, 2, parenthesis 8, with no action to follow.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, would you please take the roll?
Fiorentino?
Aye.
Thomas?
Aye.
Scarpino?
Aye.
Zettler?
Aye.
Lamarca? Aye. Burkett?
Aye.
Passes 6-0.